Hey, welcome to the Memorizing Pharmacology podcast. I'm happy to have you guys here. It's been a while, I know, since I posted, had a lot going on, but this summer's kind of cool because in addition to teaching online pharmacology, I'm teaching in-person organic chemistry. And I haven't done that in a while, and I'm excited that I have a student working here to help me. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a number of videos to kind of go backward and give you the foundation that you need for pharmacology. And one of the first things that you do is create these organic chemistry models. So we're going to have a series of models going from easiest to hardest. And I think these are going to be really helpful as we kind of move forward and get to things that you're maybe more familiar with, like aspirin and caffeine and things like that. But you can build them with just an organic chemistry model kit. Now, we're not just going to build the kit, but we're also going to talk quite a bit about the entity or whatever it is, in this case propane, which is a very portable fuel, and how these things are great for us. So let's get started.
I'm going to be going over a couple of different molecules that we will be building with the ball and stick method. You might be thinking, what is different between the ball and stick method and the other expanded, condensed, and line formulas that we talked about? So those three that we discussed in class are all 2D representations of these molecules. When we pull out the ball and stick models, we're actually looking at these models in 3D. And so we get to see those different angles that we discussed in class, like how we have tetrahedral, which is 109.5, trigonal planar, which is 120, and so on and so forth. And so we'll actually get to physically see those angles and how that occurs with the molecules trying to separate as far as they can to prevent that electron repulsion that we discussed in class. And so we're going to start out and progress into harder molecules. So I decided to start out with propane because it's definitely a molecule you probably encountered at some point in your life at a barbecue. And so for assembly of these ball and stick method, we want to stick with the same steps that we were using in class to draw our formulas. So starting out, remember that step one is determining how many carbons we have in our basic chain. Remember that prop means three. So I pulled out three carbons that we have for our base chain. So all you want to do is using your bonds, you want to connect your three carbons. And like I said, we can now visually see that this isn't a straight line. And so it produces a zigzag so that those molecules can try to be far apart from each other, which will make sense once we put all the hydrogens on so that they're all separated by the same amount so that no electron repulsion happens. And so we know that now we have our prop part. So now we need to look at our suffix, which is ane. We know that ane means that it is an alkane, which, if you remember, means that it is saturated by hydrogens. Being saturated means that every bond that isn't being used by a carbon right now is going to be filled out by a hydrogen. So on the end, our carbons only have one bond each, but we know that carbon can have four bonds because it has four valence electrons. And so we're going to go in and add three hydrogens to our end ones. And then we notice that our middle one has two carbon bonds already. So we only have two available bonds for our hydrogen. And so once we put all of our hydrogens in, and our hydrogens are represented by our little white balls. So once we get all of our hydrogens in, we can completely see the structure of propane in a 3D form. And so we can see how all of those molecules are like perfectly separated out from each other so that they don't ever have to get too close. And so here we have our basic alkane molecule of propane. And propane, like I talked about, is used in barbecuing because it is a portable fuel. And so it's commonly used in backyard grills, heaters, and sometimes we do even use it in cars So here is our first structure, our first alkane, and I will be back in the next video to start looking at an alkene.
So again, if you're used to audio, there's always visuals of all of these, and then we'll put them up on YouTube as well. But again, we're just trying to help you with your basic sciences, pharmacology, chemistry, biology. Memorizing Biology, a Relaxed Approach, is out in ebook. It'll be out in audio soon as well. We're working on memorizing chemistry, and then memorizing pharmacology, and all those guys are always available as well. So stay tuned. We've got 14 more videos on these organic chemistry models, which we'll be sending out soon.